بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. Let's go a little bit to last week. What is the simple difference between tafsir and ta'wil? What is tafsir? If someone asks you, listen, what is tafsir and what is ta'wil? Just simple. Make it very simple for me to understand.
Clarify. General explanation versus more detailed. You refine the
Exactly. Tafsir is what? What sort of meaning? General. Al-ma'na, the meaning, which is al-zahiri. What you understand. First impression from the text. The translation of the text. معنى الظاهري. The apparent meaning. Apparent meaning. What is ta'wil? What is opposite to ظاهري? باطني. المعنى الباطني. The inner. Here in America, they call it hermeneutic. If you see this in an article, in a book, hermeneutic. Or sometimes they refer to it as exegesis. Exegetic. Okay? معنى الباطني. This is both, they are reference to معنى الباطني. Okay, we said that in the Quran, when we find the term ta'wil, it has came in three meanings in the Quran. There are three meanings for the ta'wil. Remember them from last week? Last session? What are the three meanings of ta'wil? Number one, okay. The end is the end, the last one. Number three is the end of the things, the aqibah, aqibatikar. The aqibah, the end. So this is number one. What was the middle one? We said in Surah Yusuf. Ta'wil has been mentioned 14 times. Dreams, exactly. Interpretation of dreams, my friends. Okay? And what was number one? Do you remember? What was number one meaning of ta'wil?
Hand.
Exactly. What do we call this hand?
Symbolic.
Mutashabih. Which is not very clear. Muhkam is very clear. We said, what was the meaning of muhkam? Do you remember? Determined or unambiguous is muhkam. Mutashabih is ambiguous. Okay? Or symbolic. Some people call it symbolic. Symbolic, exactly. So the ta'wil, the first meaning of ta'wil in the Quran, when you come across a symbolic verse, you have to do ta'wil, you have to unfold it. Like the examples of God's face, God's hand, God's chair. You don't take them literally. These are symbolics. So you have to find a meaning. Either in the Quran you're going to find another chapter, it will interpret this, unfold it, clear it to you, or the hadith comes, hadith of the Prophet. Okay? So these are the three meanings of ta'wil in the Quran. What was the ta'wil according to the Prophet, Imams, and the Sahaba, the early community of Muslims? Did they do ta'wil or not?
The Prophet was there, so they didn't need.
No, Habibi. Early community
wrong.
Also they did.
That's tafsir did,
Yeah. But also when they came across certain verses, we said they took the law, though this occasion is local, private, They took it, they extracted a law that is universal out of something local. Do you remember that or not? Huh? Which example we gave? We gave several examples. We gave the example of Suratul Anfal, the ayah about khums. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا غَنِمْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَأَنَّ لِلَّهِ خُمُسَهُ. Though it came, ghanima here, gain, again, it came about the war. But then the Imams, our Imams, they said it's not just the war. Ghanima, mutlaqul ghanima. Any gain. Though the ayah arrived at the time of war, but it is not limited to that occasion, to war. It is any profit you make, whether peace, war, any profit you make, then you have to pay the khums of it. This is one example. The second example, an ayah that came about infaq. Ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, 2:1. Ayah, Surah Al-Baqarah 2:195. وَأَنفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَأَنفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. It came again during the war. Spend in the way of God, which was meant at that time. Way of God, what was at that time when it arrived? To sustain the war effort. But it is not limited to the war effort. It's not limited. So fi sabilillah, though it came at that time during the war, but then they extracted the law, general law, that you have to spend in the way of God, and the way of God is not just limited to war and defense, it is limited to healthcare, education, homeless, poor people, building homes, building bridges, infrastructure. You have to give. Also, my friends, they went too far to the extent that not just khums and zakat are mandatory. Sometimes, if you have an Islamic setting, Islamic society, khums and zakat are not enough, the hakim can place taxes on you. Not just khums and zakat. If the khums and zakat are enough, they do the job, then khums and zakat. If not, he can place taxes on goods, on services, on your income. Because this is also fi sabilillah. You have to give. You have to sustain your society. If your society needs more money, the government is in need. Inshallah, the government is not corrupt. They are not stealing it. They are really using it for the society. Then you must give. Even more than your khums. Sometimes your khums is a small amount. Let's say your khums is 20% of your surplus. Okay? And you didn't make any surplus that year. You made 100,000, you spent 100,000. This means you don't pay anything? Definitely you have to pay something. At least 3,000, 5,000, you have to pay as a taxes. So sometimes people do not pay khums because what they generate, they spend. In that case, how do we sustain the treasury of the community? How do we sustain that? There must be other sources, other venues, other revenues. So they say, fuqaha, they say we depend on the taxes on this ayah. Fi sabilillah, whatever is on the way of God, whatever helps and sustains your community and your society. Okay? Now, my friends, we come here to is ta'wil chaotic, random? Any person can say, yeah, I think the ta'wil, the inner meaning of this ayah is this. Or it has some rules and regulations. Definitely it has rules and regulations. Rules and regulations in Arabic, they call them ضابطة. ضابطة. They call them ضوابط. ضابطة is the singular and the plural is ضوابط, which is rules and regulations.
Is that the literal translation?
Yeah. ضابطة is rules and regulations. Sometimes people call them standards also. It could be standards or criterions too. Or criterion too. It's all, these are synonymous. Okay. So this, it has to have rules and regulations. Not anyone comes and says, oh, it comes to my mind that this is the ta'wil of this verse. No. It has specific rules, standards, and regulations. What are these rules and regulations? Number one, rules and regulations of what? What are we talking about, friends? Ta'wil. Number one, rules and regulations is there should be a relationship between ظهر and batin, between the outer meaning and the inner meaning. There should be a connection, a relationship. Let me put it this on this side. A relationship between outer and inner meaning. There should be a relationship. It's called مناسبة. یه مناسبتی باید باشد بین ظهر و باطن. It has to have a relationship. Okay? Such as what? Can you give me an example? Yes, we can give you an example. Let's come to tafsir and ta'wil. One verse, we take a verse as a case study, and we do the tafsir of the verse and we do the ta'wil of the verse. This verse in Surah Al-Rahman, Allah says, وَأَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ وَلَا تُخْسِرُوا الْمِيزَانَ. This is in Surah Al-Rahman. Okay? What is mizan here? وَأَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ. See, wazn and mizan. Both. Wazn and mizan. Wazn is the weight. Mizan is the scale. This is the literal meaning of it. Literal meaning is scale. The scale. Okay, mizan. So when you sell, when you buy, when you deal in business, when you have a company, when you have a corporation, don't do injustice. Don't steal from the scale. If you say this product, £1 is for $2, then it has to be 1 full pound. Not with the box. In some countries, the box itself is half a pound. They put it in the scale and then they put 2 oranges and they say this is a pound. No. You have to be accurate. When you say these oranges, the pound is $2, $3, then it has to be exact. Exact. In fact, we have in the akhlaq, classes of akhlaq, that when you, or under riwayat, when you sell something, when you say this is £1, make it even more than £1 to be on the safe side. Don't make it exact £1. Make it £1 and few grams or ounces or things like that. Okay? So this, it's mustahab. It brings barakah to you. So the tafsir is do justice when you sell. When you buy, أقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا. Do not take away from the scale. Don't take away. تخسروا, it means taking away. Okay? This is the tafsir. What is the ta'wil? Does God speak only about business in the market when you have a shop? Or this ayah could be much bigger in the meaning, more encompassing in the meaning. Which one?
Yeah.
Definitely, God does not only speak about the market, He speaks about everything in this life, even your relationships. Strike a balance in your relationships. Strike a balance. With your parents, you have to strike a balance. With your friends, with your wife, with your children, with your neighbors, with your community members, you have to strike a balance. And incorporate justice, adl. Adl. Strike a balance. Make muwazana, always balancing things. Okay, follow balancing. But then we come to Imam al-Sadiq. This is the ta'wil. This is the esoteric meaning. This is the hermeneutical meaning. He says, al-mizan. It is right. The tafsir is the scale. Justice in the scale. Justice in all other walks of life. This is tafsir. But ta'wil, the hidden meaning, that only the Imam knows. Because in Surah Al-Imran, what does God say about mutashabihat?
Only the people who
The ambiguous. Only the people who are experts. And the Imams are the experts. He says, Al-Mizan huwa al-Imam al-Ma'soom. Do not hurt your Imam al-Ma'soom. Do not disobey. Tukhsiru, when you disobey. When you turn your back to him. When you do injustice to him. قال الإمام الصادق عليه الصلاة الميزان الذي وضعه الله للأنام. The mizan, the scale that Allah puts forth to anam. Anam means the people. Okay? هو الإمام العادل الذي يحكم بالعدل. وقد أمر الناس أن لا يطغوا عليه. People have been ordered by God. They do not transgress. تخسروا means do not transgress against him. Do not transgress again. When he tells you to do something, say, I listen to you. Don't be like Bani Israel. They say, سمعنا وعصينا. Rather than saying, سمعنا وأطعنا, we hear you and we listen to you and we obey you. They say, we hear you, but we disobey you. This is in Surah Al-Baqarah. So that is an example of ta'wil. So can you see a relationship between tafsir and ta'wil? The outer and the inner? The outer speaks about adl. Adl. Okay? The scale. Balancing. These are all the meanings of tafsir, the outer. The inner is the imam. So there is a relationship. There is a relationship between the inner and the outer. There is a relationship. Do you see the relationship or not, my friends?
the core principle is the same.
Exactly. The core principle is exactly the same. This is one meaning. Second ayah. Second ayah, Surah Al-Mulk, which is chapter 67, ayah 30. Chapter 67, ayah 30. Surah Al-Mulk. 67, 30. What does it say? قل إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين. Say to them, Ya Rasulullah, say to them, قل, have you considered, قل أرأيتم, have you considered this point, that if your water vanishes into the ground, غورا, غور, why do we call this area غور الأردن? You are from that area, both of you. Why they call it غور الأردن?
Because the land is
Law, law,
Yeah.
it's law. So غور means when the water goes low. So if the water does not stay on earth, goes low, you lose it. فَمَنْ يَأْتِيكُمْ, who's going to bring you with the fresh water to drink? فَمَنْ يَأْتِيكُمْ بِمَاءٍ, with the flowing water. This is simple. The tafsir of it, okay, what is the tafsir of it? Tafsir is God is the sustainer, God is the provider, God is the one who gives you food, gives you drink, gives you health, gives you success. He's a provider. He's like a father and mother who provides everything for their baby. Okay? This is the tafsir. This is the tafsir. Now when it comes to the ta'wil, you have to have what? You have to have also a relationship. Remember here, there should be a relationship between outer and inner, tafsir and ta'wil. Water was whatever Allah provided you for your sustenance. Ma, if I don't drink water now, I cannot sustain myself. I can't live. I can't carry on my duties. I have to drink water. This is the secret of my life. This is the source of my life. Water. If it goes, who's going to sustain me? How should I sustain myself without water? There is no alternative to water. So this is the tafsir. What is the ta'wil of the water? Again, Imam al-Baqir says the Imam. Al-Imam عليه السلام إذا فقدتم إمامكم فلم تروه فماذا تصنعون. The ta'wil of it again, the Imam. If the Imam is missing, قل إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا, who's going to provide you with what?
Guidance.
Exactly, أحسنت, with guidance. If the Imam is missing, then who is going to provide you with guidance? So this is the ta'wil. Now, my friends, we said the ta'wil has to have some sort of support in the Quran itself. In this ayah, when you do ta'wil of this ayah, you have to support your argument with another ayat elsewhere. You can't say this is from, I woke up in the morning and this sparked in my brain, in my head, and no. It has to have rules and regulations, ضابطة, ضوابط, rules and regulations. How does the Imam say, ma here, the ta'wil of ma, water, is Imam al-Ma'soom? And how does he say, who brings you water, flowing water? It means who brings you guidance or knowledge. The Quran says that. Go back to the Quran, you will see many chapters. Take this as an example. Surah Al-Anfal, which is chapter 8 and ayah 24. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استجيبوا لله وللرسول إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم. Oh, the community of the believers. يا أيها الذين استجيبوا, respond to God and His apostle and His prophet when they invite you. إذا دعاكم, when they invite you to infuse you with life, يحييكم, to give you, to provide you what gives you life. What does give us life? If you ask someone in the restaurant, he says this food. Food, meat, chicken, vegetables. But does the Quran speak about the physical food? Or he speaks about something else? Spiritual. He speaks about guidance. He speaks about knowledge. He speaks about akhlaq. So this support our argument of this verse. Oh, I didn't write it, by the way. قُلْ إِنْ أَصْبَحَ مَاؤُكُمْ غَوْرًا. But check it out, please. When you go home, when you have time, reflect on these. Reflect on them. So this one is supported by Anfal, Al-Anfal, which is 8:24. Okay? Now, let's go to the third one. Third example. Third example is mentioned. Let me delete this and go to the third example, which is Abasa, chapter 80. Abasa wa Tawalla, chapter 80, verse 24. Abasa. What does it say? فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَى. This is not Abasa. Huh? Sorry, 1 second. I'll check it out. Alhamdulillah, we have iPhone here. ينظر الإنسان إلى طعامه أن ينظر فلينظر عبسة. عبسة, exactly. Abasa, chapter 80, verse 24. فلينظر الإنسان إلى طعامه. فلينظر الإنسان إلى طعامه. Okay, what is the tafsir of طعامه?
His food.
Look at your food. Look at your food. This is tafsir. See whether the food is healthy, is junk food, how many what they say? Calories are in the food. Is this food, greasy food? Is this food salty food? What sort of oil? What sort of meat? What sort of... Today the American Association of Cardiologists, whatever, they said they lowered the blood temperature to 130. It used to be 140. Today they announced that we have to lower it to 130. Okay? So you have to be careful of the food that you eat. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانِ. This is one of the best verses in the Quran that speaks about physical health. Food. Look into the food. Examine the food. Don't just eat. Whatever they put in front of you, you just eat and eat and eat. This is the tafsir. What is the ta'wil? Remember, the ta'wil has to have a relationship between the outer and the inner. There should be a relationship between tafsir and ta'wil in the same line.
Yeah.
So this speaks about what food?
Can it be about like information or what you hear or guidance?
And then the ta'wil is, which one is spiritual? What do we call it spiritual? Ilm. Ilm. Imam says, فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَىٰ عِلْمِهِ مِنْ أَيْنَ يَتَعَلَّمُهُ. From where he does get his knowledge. Especially ilm ad-din. Sometimes physics, chemistry, mathematics, geology, whatever, there is no differences in opinions. These are one theory, scientific theories. But when it comes to theological, philosophical, definitely you have to look into the source of your knowledge. Where do you get it from? This is the ta'wil. Where do you get your knowledge from? Who is your teacher? Who is your mentor? What book are you reading? Who you are following? This is very important. This is why Taqleed is important. Not just because of fiqh questions that, well, I follow him because he says this type of wudu is okay, that type of wudu is not only because of that. Because the marja' is not only a guide when it comes to halal and haram. He's a guide when it comes to our perception to the universe. Nowadays, people look up to the marja'. Political affairs, economic affairs, social affairs, global affairs. What does he say about this? You know, many people, they go to the maraja'. I've seen them. Not to ask him, Maulana, is this halal or haram? Is this jacket leather halal? No, he can find out this. He goes to him to much more critical questions. So he has to provide. He has to have a perspective on this. He has to provide guidance on larger issues, more important issues,
Almost sounds
critical
like
issues.
a cabinet, like a person that really understands economics or a person that understands society. And
He
then
has to have advisors, senior advisors in all these fields. They have to supply him with knowledge, with information. This is what is happening in the world around you, because people are asking you about these things. You are called marja'. Marja' is a reference for people. It's like Google. When you don't know, you go to Google. Marja' is a Google. Ayatollah Google. He has to give you the right answer. So some people, they provide, some people are unable to provide, unfortunately. So not anyone is qualified to be marja'. Not anyone is qualified. Marja'iyya is a very, 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 very difficult task. Extremely difficult. Extremely difficult responsibility. Not just halal and haram, book of halal and book of haram. This is tahir, this is part of it. This is 2% of it. 98% global issues, universal issues, international issues. Our relationship with this country, with this religion, with this, this is important. So you have to look into your knowledge. Who's your source of guidance and who's giving you guidance? Because sometimes someone is taking you to nowhere. Wallah, I've seen. Sometimes he calls himself alim, but he's not guiding, he's misguiding. Look at the Maraja of Saudi Arabia. All of them are misguiding the people. All of them, without any exception. They misguide.
So we can take this ayah as one of the proof for the taqleed?
Absolutely. Imam al-Sadiq says, the ta'wil, فَلْيَنظُرْ, let him look into his food. It means the spiritual food. مِنْ أَيْنَ يَأْخُذُهُ, where do you get it from? So where do you get your religion from? Okay? Before you join this school, join this club, join this masjid, join this center, you have to verify this is correct. Not blindly. Some people blindly, they go and they join. This is not right. This is not right. This is why we have people now, they are naive, they are very good hearted people, very good spirited, but they go to the wrong places. They brainwash them. Brainwashing is very common. You have to be extremely intelligent to realize that you are being brainwashed. Extremely intelligent. Most of the people are not extremely. I've seen some people highly professional in these fields. He's a very famous surgeon. Last night here we had maybe 70 or 80 physicians here. There was a memorial service. Some of them are naive. He's good in his field. In his field, he's fantastic. But discuss something outside his field, he's a kindergartner. Especially when it comes to religion. So you have to be careful in where you get your knowledge from. This is the ta'wil.
So who is the Imam that gave this hadith?
Imam al-Sadiq. This hadith is in a book of Kafi. Kafi, the author of Kafi, Thiqatul Islam al-Kulayni, and the riwayah is on the authority of Zayd al-Shahham. زيد الشحام قال سألت الإمام جعفر بن محمد الصادق. I asked Imam al-Sadiq, قلت ما طعامه? What is meant by طعام here in this ayah? قال علمه الذي يأخذه عمن يأخذه. His knowledge. Where does he get his knowledge? Not food. This food, yes, you have to be careful. But even, God forbids, if you get poisoned, you go to the hospital. It's a matter of a couple of hours and you recover. But if you go to the wrong place and they teach you that, it's only Quran. Hadith is not important. And people naively, they keep repeating, no, hadith is not. How do you say hadith is not important? Who told you this? Who told you hadith is not important? Without hadith, Quran cannot explain itself. You need the hadith to explain the Quran. The basic example is, how can you pray 5 times? Where is it? Where is it Dhuhr is 4? Why Maghrib is 3? Why morning is 2? Is this in the Quran? Nowhere in the Quran. Nowhere. Search the Quran. Nowhere. This is in the hadith. So, but some people are, they take advantage of the public being nice and being good, and they brainwash them. You have to be very careful which ustad you follow. I remember when I joined the seminary 36 years ago, I started going to classes. I go to this class 1 or 2 days, I don't like the teacher. I go to the second one, then I'm not satisfied. I go to the third one, 1 or 2 days, I'm not convinced. I have to spend time shopping, believe me, until I reach someone, because I understand Arabic, see? The fiqh is written in Arabic. My mother language is Arabic. And my ustad is not Arab. So I would go to someone who convinces me that he understands better than me. I don't need, I can sit at home and read the book myself. But I need to go to somewhere to get me more than what I am reading. And this was not easy. I remember this very well. Though I was in my, I was a teenager at that time. But I had to shop, investigate, go myself. I went myself until I found the ones that I thought that they can benefit me. They can benefit me correctly and rightly. You have to search for your teacher and your school and your source of knowledge. You have to search. This is a big responsibility. Yeah, this is the responsibility of the people. People nowadays, they go to Friday prayers. Whoever is an imam, in many of the masajid, an imam is not, his job is not, he's not trained to be an imam. He has not been to an Islamic academy, an Islamic college, a seminary. He's an imam. Why? Because he speaks good. He has the command of the language. He can crack jokes. He's, sensational. People listen to him. Nowadays, not only in the Sunnis, even in the Shia tradition, we have guys who are 16 years old. They are speakers. They invite them left and right. And naive people, they listen to them. Believe me, I've seen this. 16, 17 years old. This is a mockery. We have to have a standard. So this is number 3. This example is number 3. Should we go to the 4th example or we conclude here? My friends? We go to the second dhabita. Second dhabita is a bit long. This is the first dhabita. First regulation. What was the first regulation? Don't look at the board. Tell me, what was the first regulation? Exactly. There should be a relationship between the tafsir and the ta'wil. Not the tafsir is in one valley and the ta'wil is saying something unrelated completely. Like the Iranians, they have an example. One of it is shaqiqa and the other is I don't mention it. No relationship between them. There should be a relationship. You are in the same line. In the same line. Tafsir and ta'wil are see, this is in the same line. This is ta'am, ta'am. Tafsir is physical, ta'wil is spiritual. Then inshallah, next class, we go to the second regulation, which is more delicate than this. We need to focus more to understand the second regulation, inshallah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ahli baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.